And now, flash forward a few years as I head back to that tree farm in Amory, this time to get a little more insight into what makes a Christmas tree farm tick. All that while reveling in the spirit of the season. If you've never handpicked a Christmas tree, come with me. There's more than meets the eye. And here's a hint, it's not just about the tree. This time of year certainly has a magical feeling. With cold weather setting in, thoughts go towards family and tradition. One of the oldest is the Christmas tree. These beautiful decorations have their own unique history, but who grows them? Why do they do it? And what does the Christmas tree business look like? To find out, I went to a local Christmas tree farm in Amory, Mississippi, Worthy Tree Farm.
So it takes about 5 years to really get into the business. So David and Vera Gray had the Christmas tree farm right up the road, started in the early 80s. And so I used to work for him when I was like in high school. And so then when they decided to retire, we took over the business in 2010. Your process is we have to start like in January of going out to the fields, and it's called propagation. So we actually take cuttings off the trees, and so those cuttings are rooted for the next year's trees. So that's kind of year, I guess, one in the greenhouse. Year two is when you actually plant that particular tree in your field. And so there's like basil pruning, all kind of different prunings that you have to do to get that tree ready, established, and all that. And then after that, you have to shear the trees twice a year. You got to spray fungicide every 21 days. It's a lot to it just in that between like the year 2 and year 5, to kind of keep them growing and fertilize them. We spray fertilizer on them to keep them growing. We grow the Murray cypress and Leland cypress, and the Carolina sapphire, and the green giant is what our 3 or 4 different types are.
Our Christmas trees that we grow now were started as ornamental purposes like landscape break-ins, wind breaks, all that kind of stuff. And before that, they were growing pine trees, Virginia pine, Scotch pine, that we grew here at the farm. And they moved to Leland cypress due to disease purposes because the tip moth would get on the pine trees. And they moved to these ornamental trees, and they kind of look like the cedar tree. And they moved to those, and that they blew up when people started growing them. Everybody started growing them. It was easier to grow than a pine tree, because on pine trees, if you planted 1,000, you lost 500 as Christmas trees. So they wanted to move to something that was more sure. If you planted 1,000, you at least got 800.
It's not something many people would think about. Christmas tree farmers are like many other tree farmers across the state and the U.S. They face similar problems to those who grow pine trees or decorative ornamentals. Technically, that's exactly what the Christmas tree is, an ornamental. Although they don't hang over your head like a forest of pine, the Christmas tree business is a serious thing. Here in the Southeast, they have associations where growers can give and get advice.
We have like 3 or 4 states are kind of involved into the Southern Christmas Tree Association here. And so we have like our own little community that we can kind of, if we're needing help, any guidance or anything, we have people that can help us there. So once a year we all get together at either Louisiana, Alabama, or Mississippi, kind of one place or another, and we all get together and just have like a big convention. And so we kind of pick each other's brain, if we're having trouble with something or like that, we can always ask. Because we have some older growers in our association, so they've been there and done that. They really know, what to do and what not to do.
We try to help each other out because you don't want to see anybody struggling on something like that. So that association is a wonderful thing, we think. What's happened, we'll send a picture of one of our trees and say, have you ever had this happen to your tree before? And they'll say, yeah, it's this. So we can correct that. Or they may call us about, something happened to their tree, and we'll say, well, it happened to ours a couple years ago. So it's just it's a network of making it easy for everybody. Mistakes were made, I can tell you, don't do that or do this.
You'd think tree farmers would be in stiff competition with each other, but in truth, there's enough business to go around.
There's a few up in the north part of the state, but you can't, if there's 10,000 people in an area, you can't sell that many. So you're glad that somebody further on down the road, you know, an hour from us, can open one, because then that kind of helps them out over there.
And that's the main thing, is just kind of growers helping growers. And we always encourage, if anybody is, wanting to get into the association or into growing trees, it's always a good idea, to have an association that you're part of. Because there's no way for you to just start on day one and say, hey, I want to be a Christmas tree farmer. Because there's so many things on, what to do and what not to do.
Several years ago, I came out here to do another segment for Farm Week. At that time, this guy was super little. Now look how big he's gotten. You're just the biggest, prettiest tree. However, selling trees once a year is not enough to keep a farm afloat. So, like many others these days, Worthy Tree Farms has gotten into the business of agritourism.
We do like a pumpkin patch starts in October, so we kind of raise some of our pumpkins and all that. So we have birthday parties, we have gift shops, we have concession stands, we have some goats that the children can feed and pet. We have sleigh rides during the Christmas season out in the fields. So it's kind of like an experience, even in October and Christmas. It's an experience, that we try to have family first, and that they can come out and just kind of experience time with their family and just have a good time. So that's what it's all about.
One of the most important aspects of agritourism is bringing the community itself together. Establishing a local gift shop like this one is a good way to do that, because here they can sell local goods and services by the community.
Just little by little, we just want to offer more stuff, just to, when you go out there and pick your tree out, it might take a little while for us to go cut it. We might have 20 or so people waiting on a tree. So we thought, well, if we had this for them to wait, that would help them not have just a boring wait. So we started building concession stands and buildings to set in party rooms, and it seems to be working. We got jumpies and all kind of fun stuff just to add to it.
But yeah, it's always about family. I always preach that, and everybody is so busy these days. So it's always kind of good to spend a couple of days with your family, and this is one of the days that I like to be able to kind of share our farm with.
It's no secret that people in the Christmas tree business take special care of the traditions in the event of a family picking out the perfect tree for themselves. It's good to know that those who grow the trees truly care. Merry Christmas.
Wonderful story. Looks like you had a great time shooting that one too.